loses a close, tough fight to Terence Crawford. I don't know.
But he's gotten older. He's grown out of division.
Who?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but so is Terence Crawford.
You can't make the weight.
But so is Terence Crawford. I picked Terence Crawford because he started 135. Floyd started 130. He turned pro. He's 130 pounds.
Max really has earned the right to an opinion. And his current opinion is that Terence Crawford is the greatest of all time. Now, I will tell you, Max is a fan. I can relate to this. I got in there and I did the sport, and there are times that there is a credibility that will come along with me for having done the sport. But I'm the same as Max. I'm a fan.
Crawford is, you know what I mean? Especially being, 38? Something like that, yeah, 38. So listen, to do what he done in the manner he did it, moving up 2 weights, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest
Sports analyst Max Kellerman weighs in on the much-anticipated matchup between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, pointing out the differences in how their careers unfolded. According to Kellerman, Mayweather's strategy often involved carefully picking opponents to maintain his undefeated status, a tactic that built an impressive record but also attracted criticism for being overly cautious. Crawford, by contrast, built his reputation by taking on all challengers without hesitation, consistently proving himself against whoever was willing to step into the ring. While Mayweather's accomplishments have cemented his legacy in boxing history, Kellerman suggests that Crawford's fearlessness and readiness to face anyone may give him the upper hand in this clash.
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference to people.
Max Kellerman has often questioned whether Floyd Mayweather deserves the top spot on boxing's pound-for-pound rankings. While he respects Mayweather's technical mastery, Kellerman argues that pure skill and an unbeaten record aren't enough to define all-time greatness in his view. Terence Crawford belongs in that debate because of his success across 4 different weight classes, an accomplishment that echoes the path once taken by Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao became a legend by climbing divisions and defeating elite opponents at every step, and Kellerman sees Crawford following a similar blueprint. To him, true greatness comes not from protecting a spotless record, but from moving through divisions, taking on dangerous fights, and consistently proving yourself against the toughest competition available.
No one has ever been a 4-division champion in boxing. Not a real one. Oh, Pacquiao won 8 and Oscar De La Hoya won 11 and this one won 15. No, I'm talking about Ring Magazine champ or lineal champ. You are the champion of that division. Manny Pacquiao was the first dude to really win 4. Floyd gets credit for 4 for beating Canelo, but that wasn't at the junior middleweight limit. I don't count that. I don't count that. Terence Crawford just joined Manny Pacquiao as the only legit 4-division champion in the history of boxing. And he did.
Kellerman has also been outspoken about the way Floyd Mayweather built his career. He argues that Mayweather's perfect record wasn't simply the product of dominance in the ring, but also the result of calculated matchmaking. According to him, Floyd often selected opponents who were either past their peak or posed less risk stylistically. Early on, Mayweather's slick defense and technical precision earned him widespread praise. But as his career progressed, financial considerations began to outweigh competitive challenges, leading critics to see his undefeated streak as a carefully managed business strategy rather than pure sporting supremacy. For Kellerman, the issue isn't whether Floyd was great, he clearly was, but whether his cautious approach prevented fans from seeing him truly tested in high stakes, dangerous matchups.
Was fighting everyone right up until the point where he started to make money. But as much credit as you get for making, the primacy of business, for making business your priority, Well, that comes with trade-offs, because when you make business decisions constantly, sometimes your athletic achievements won't be regarded in the same way as if you made athletic achievements your priority. That said, Mayweather has accomplished a tremendous amount athletically. But the three fighters he didn't fight, Antonio Margarito, Manny Pacquiao, when he was obliterating De La Hoya, Hatton, and Cotto, and Shane Mosley when he still has something left. And while he will wind up fighting Pacquiao and Mosley, it'll both be, at the right time for Floyd. That said, what about at the right, the right time for Floyd? He's also ancient. A fighter approaching 40, fighting at the level Mayweather is fighting, is unheard of. Mayweather, until recent times, would be considered one of the greatest older fighters of that would be the whole story. Oh my God, can you believe how old Mayweather is? It's a little bit unfair to Floyd to say, well, you're picking these guys at the right time. Floyd is old.
Kellerman's bold claim that Terence Crawford might be the greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever stirred mixed reactions. Many Mayweather loyalists pushed back, arguing that it's premature to place Crawford above a legend whose career is already cemented in history. They believe Crawford still has more to accomplish before earning that distinction. Interestingly, former UFC star Chael Sonnen came to Kellerman's defense. He pointed out that analysts and fans are entitled to strong opinions when they genuinely believe they're witnessing greatness. Sonnen stressed that Kellerman's viewpoint shouldn't be dismissed as favoritism, but rather respected as the perspective of someone who has followed boxing at the highest level for decades. In this sense, Sonnen underscored the value of debate in combat sports. The disagreements and differing interpretations are what keep conversations about the greatest of all time alive and engaging.
Max really has earned the right to an opinion. And his current opinion is that Terence Crawford is the greatest of all time. Now, I will tell you, Max is a fan. I can relate to this. I got in there and I did the sport, and there are times that there is a credibility that will come along with me for having done the sport. But I'm the same as Max. I'm a fan. I stopped off and had a career doing it, but I started as a fan during my time in that career, and now I'm a fan. And Max was a little heavy on Canelo. Now, when I say it was a little heavy, it just surprised me as such an expert, as a guy that knows everything. I mean, Max knows the amateurs. He knows what Usyk did in the Olympic Games and the World Championships and the Golden Gloves before that, and he knows everybody else as well. I was a little surprised, if I'm being fair, at how much he thought Canelo was a great fighter. That part did surprise me. But just because Canelo has been beat doesn't mean he's not. It's interesting. Canelo's had some really hard fights, and by the way, he's had a lot of them. There's not usually a time in boxing where a guy can have anything but a 0 in his loss column, and the guy can still get over. Not only was that not the case, Canelo was valued just dollar and cents at 10 times more valuable than Crawford. Oh, by the way, Crawford is the only one that showed up with an undefeated record. And I must admit, some of those losses that Canelo had seem like the kind of thing that would really slow a guy down.
News of Terence Crawford setting his sights on becoming undisputed at middleweight has generated a mix of excitement and doubt. Having already handed Canelo Alvarez a decisive loss, a fighter widely considered the face of modern boxing, Crawford's legacy is already secure in the eyes of many observers. That victory dismantled the idea that sheer size and strength could neutralize him. Analysts argue that Crawford has little left to prove after toppling the sport's biggest star, yet his decision to pursue all the belts at 160 pounds speaks to an insatiable drive. Rather than resting on past achievements, he's aiming to push into uncharted territory. If he manages to unify another division, Crawford would place himself in the rarest company, remembered not just as a champion, but as a fighter who continually sought new challenges instead of settling once greatness was established.
Anti-climaxing for him to drop back down because you already reached the height. You already slayed the giant. And essentially that's what Terence Crawford has already done. He slayed the giant, okay? Anything else he can do is going to be anti-climaxing. Nobody else he can fight. Canelo Alvarez has 63 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Canelo Alvarez is the face, or was the face, of the sport of boxing, right? And you defeated him and outclassed him. Everybody expected you to get knocked out. It was a money grab. It wasn't realistic. And you achieved it, right? There's nothing else you can do but one thing. And as I stated, you can put your crown so high on the pedestal, it's almost impossible to reach. And I stated that becoming undisputed in another glamour division in 2 fights, because it really doesn't matter who Terence Crawford fights at this point in time. There is no name that's going to garner him the traction and attention that he got from fighting Canelo. If he fights Ron Ennis, it's not going to do it. Virgil Ortiz, not going to do it. None of those guys, anybody would put against Canelo Alvarez and say that they would beat Canelo Alvarez. So now he would be expected to beat everybody. Okay? Sebastian Fundora, the Towering Inferno, because of the size difference, he's 6'6", 80 plus inch arm reach, right? At fighting at 154 pounds, that would be attractive.
Whenever the debate over boxing's greatest of all time comes up, Max Kellerman is quick to challenge the assumption that Floyd Mayweather automatically holds that title. While he acknowledges Mayweather's technical mastery, Kellerman insists that true greatness is defined by more than defensive skill and record-breaking paydays. He points to icons like Muhammad Ali and Roberto Duran, who cemented their legacies by taking on the toughest challengers without concern for timing or advantage. In Kellerman's view, Mayweather never displayed that same willingness to gamble with his legacy. That is why he pushes back against the narrative of Mayweather as the definitive greatest. Instead, Kellerman highlights fighters such as Terence Crawford, who continuously step into dangerous matchups and prove themselves without relying on carefully managed business strategies.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0. Before Floyd got to 50-0, he was a heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twist. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
British prospect Hamza Shiraz has openly praised the way Terence Crawford has crafted his legacy, describing it as something unique in the modern era. According to Shiraz, what sets Crawford apart is not only his dominance in the ring, but also his willingness to face every serious contender. Without hesitation, he described it as a privilege to watch a fighter who consistently defeats champions with such precision, and calmness that he often makes difficult matchups appear effortless. For Shiraz, Crawford's story extends beyond the wins themselves. It's about the statement those victories make. True greatness, he says, lies in pursuing the hardest challenges rather than steering clear of them. By voicing this admiration, Shiraz adds his name to the growing chorus of fighters and fans who view Crawford's career as one of the clearest examples of boxing excellence in its purest form.
Whack, like I was saying it, oh mate, I had it totally wrong. But it just goes to show how good Crawford is, you know what I mean? Especially being, 38? Something like that, yeah, 38. So listen, to do what he done in the manner he did it, moving up 2 weights, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest to do it, one of the greatest to set foot in it. You know what, it was an honour to watch himself and Canelo live ringside. So the outcome of it wasn't ideal, because if Canelo won, I would have been in line next, which is still the case, but just delayed a little bit. And I suppose it all depends what Crawford wants to do.
I saw a post from Umar actually, who put out before the fight, said, I really want my boy Hamza to win, but I think that Crawford will win. And I think a lot of people kind of possibly have seen that sentiment of they want him to win for you, but at the same time, a few people I spoke to picked Crawford to win.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was a split of opinions, wasn't it? It was very, very divided. But then straight away, when the first bell went, and I see Crawford run to the centre, grab centre, you know he weren't here to fuck around, man. And he just bossed it. I think I'll give Canelo no more than 4 rounds. But then at the same time, you've got to put yourself in Canelo's shoes. He's achieved everything he's needed to do in the sport. He's earned more than enough money, and he's still daring to be great. So, as a fighter, as a fan, we can only appreciate that.
Amid the ongoing debates about boxing's greatest fighters, another storyline has been quietly reshaping the sport: the growing influence of Saudi Arabia. At the heart of this shift is Turki Al-Sheikh, the driving force behind a series of blockbuster cards that have captured global attention. Traditionally, the United States served as the sport's central stage, but Saudi Arabia has increasingly positioned itself as the new home for high-profile spectacles. Many of these events are built less around pure competition and more around generating headlines, with matchups that some critics describe as unconventional or entertainment-first. Doubts remain about whether this vision is designed to elevate Saudi Arabia's reputation while deliberately undercutting the American market that once dominated boxing. By consistently attracting legendary names and superstar draws to Riyadh, Al-Sheikh is gradually pulling the sport's center of gravity eastward. For fans, the scale and spectacle are undeniable. The productions are grand and visually striking. Yet beneath the glitz lies a pressing concern. Is the competitive spirit of boxing being sacrificed to the highest bidder? The question lingers. Is the sport evolving into a global entertainment product or drifting away from its true identity?
And I had been telling you that he was not coming to America with that. For that, he is coming to take boxing to Saudi Arabia. He is not trying to help boxing in America. He is trying to help boxing in Saudi Arabia. And in order to help boxing in Saudi Arabia, he has to do damage to American boxing, because American boxing is the mecca of boxing right now, and he wants to change where the mecca is. So when he backed Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, I did a video and I said, we know what this is going to be. This is going to be them trying to get this fight over for Canelo Alvarez. And then after that, Turki Al-Sheikh wants to take Canelo Alvarez to Saudi Arabia so he can fight Hamad Shiraz. And Hamad Shiraz can be the one to beat Canelo Alvarez and become the undisputed champion. And that was the end game that Turki Al-Sheikh had. So let's now talk about the fight that was necessary for Canelo to win in order for Turki's plans to come off. Terence Crawford had to lose to Canelo Alvarez. In the fight itself, as I have witnessed and many people have witnessed, that was not a close fight. That was a fight in which Terence Crawford won, and won convincingly. The fight was probably close up until around round 4 or 5, at which point in time Terence Crawford pulled out and pulled away and dominated that fight. Many experts, including myself, say that Terence Crawford won all but maybe 2 rounds. And there are some people that said that they didn't think Canelo won any rounds convincing.
Terence Crawford's career reached a defining peak with his stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez, a result that reverberated throughout the boxing world. The win didn't just enhance his resume, it also delivered an extraordinary payday, reportedly worth hundreds of millions. Analysts pointed out that Crawford now occupies rare territory, where elite skill and massive financial reward intersect seamlessly. In the aftermath, attention quickly turned to what challenges could possibly come next, since Crawford had already dismantled one of the sport's biggest global icons. For many observers, the result validated what Max Kellerman and other analysts have argued for years. Crawford's greatness isn't about protecting a spotless record. His legacy is being written through bold risks and victories over the toughest available opposition. The money, impressive as it is, stands as a byproduct. What truly matters is the respect Crawford has earned, proof that he belongs in the conversation with boxing's all-time greats.
Defeated now 42 Anno with 31 KOs, defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez 63-3-2. Moving up 2 weight divisions was a brilliant performance. We're going to analyze the actual performance and how good he was technically, tactically, physically later on in the show. We talk about the pound for pound list, Spencer and I. But what I want to ask you is, given that the judges scored it 115, 113, 115 Tim Cheatham 115, 113. Max DeLuca 115, 113. Steve Weisfeld 116, 112. Yeah, 116, 112 is 8 rounds to 4. I had it 9 rounds to 3. I could even have scored it 10 rounds to 2. How did you have it?
Yeah, I had it 117, 111. I thought the scorecards...
9 to 3 then, yeah?
Yeah, I thought the scorecards were way too close. But there was always going to happen with Canelo Alvarez to beat him in Vegas. We've seen a few fights go close before. Triple G was one that comes to mind straight away, where I thought Triple G had won the first fight for sure, and it didn't go his way.
Imagine this, Spence. If Terence had tripped over Canelo's feet late in the fight, let's say he tripped over, and they'd scored that a knockdown, it would have been a majority draw.
Yeah.
And we'd have been screaming blue murder, wouldn't we? We'd have got a rematch.
Yeah.
We might still get a rematch.
I was going to say that, by the way. That's the only place now for Canelo Alvarez to go to. We know he's still got a couple of fights left with Riyadh season in his contract.
I think he'll become like a Ronaldo, a Cristiano Ronaldo for Turkey Al Sheikh. That's what he seems to be setting up as. Get him 2 or 3 more fights, keep him busy, make him a brand ambassador for Riyadh season, get the Mexican audience to know, because obviously there's a big PR going on for Saudi Arabia. They want to conquer America, Latin America. They want to be known out there.
That brings us to the end of today's video.